Hello, so today we're going to make what's called an armature so that we can make a kind of movable puppet that we could animate with. So to start with, what you will need is some plasticine, and here we're using new plast, which is relatively inexpensive. We have these two styrofoam balls that, as you might see on the left hand side here, we're going to be using for the structure of our puppet. We want some wire. Now the wire is really important that it's very flexible, nice and flexible. Some masking tape and a wire cutter. Now all of these things can be found online, so and they're all relatively inexpensive. The things that you might have lying around your house would be the masking tape and some sort of knife, or some sharp scissors or something like that. Okay. Now, the first thing you want to do, I'll move all of this stuff out of the way. The first thing you want to do is you want to cut off some of your wire from your big wind of wire here. And as you can see, I have about, I measured it, it's about 120 centimeters of wire. Okay, and so what you're going to do is you're going to unravel all of that wire, as you can see me doing here. Okay. You're going to fold this in half, like so, yeah. And then what you'll do is you'll start by making the head. And to do that, you're going to take that side, you're going to get your thumb and forefinger or pointy finger, and you're going to pinch, and you're going to twist. And you will start to make your head. Okay, so as you can see there's your head. Then what we're going to do is we are going to make some arms, and to do that you'll pull one of the bits of wire to one side, measure out how long you want your arm to be. I'm going to fold it back on myself here like that, pinch again, and then twist. And it's really important that you get these sort of loop bits here in the head and the arms. And that'll be explained later with a bit more clarity. And then for the other arm, obviously, you want to make sure that your sizes are all the same, so you can kind of measure it on itself like that. Go back. Oh, I should say you should actually use the longer bit of wire coming down to do the other arm, sorry. Because you'll notice that one side of the wire will be getting shorter as you're doing the arm, so you want to make sure that it's the longer bit of wire that you're using for the second arm. Okay. And then you want to pinch with your thumb and forefinger again, and then twist. So you have something like this. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make that spine. And I'm going to, again, you want to sort of pinch between the breastplate here, and then twist so that you're making that spine. And hopefully you can start to see your humanoid or a human-like form taking place. Great. Okay, now at this stage you should have something that looks like this. So we have that for the head, and these two for the arms here and your neck. The next bit you want to do is your feet, obviously. Now the thing about the feet is you don't worry about making them a little bit longer in proportion to the rest of the body, because all the weight of your armature really needs to be at the bottom so that it can stand up. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually just going to take this whole size here, the rest of the wire, I'm going to take it up here where the point meets here. I'm going to wrap this maybe just around once so that it doesn't Doesn't poke anybody's eye out. Like that. Just secure that. You're going to put some tape around all of this a bit later, so it doesn't really matter. And then again, you want to pinch, and then you want to twist out your leg, leaving a little bit more now here for the foot. I'm going to leave about that much for the foot. And we're going to do the same with the other side as well. Try and make sure that they're roughly the same size. They should be, because we've kind of kept it all equal. So there we go. We have the basis of our armature right there. Yeah, so that's the first step. It's rather simple, and then we'll move on to kind of adding some kind of extra elements to the body to sort of suggest sort of stomach, and then we'll do the hands, and then we'll do the head. Okay, so the next stage, we're going to do these extensions to the body. Now at this point, you should, I know this is not a great camera angle, but I am just doing this at home. You should be able to make your armature stand up by itself. So we've got those really big feet, and you want to kind of bend those round like that. Bit of lockdown television for you. And you should be able to make that body stand up. Famous last words. But there we are. Let's see if I can move the head up like that. See, it's a really delicate balancing act, because even there, with bending the head back up, it makes it top heavy. So you want to make sure that a lot of the weight is kind of in front of the feet there, so that those big splayed feet can kind of take on the majority of the weight of your figure. One nice way to do it is, when you're trying to make it stand, is to put your hands on the feet like that and kind of push the feet down onto the surface, and so that you kind of push that weight down into the feet, and that'll kind of help make it stand better. Now, the first thing we're going to do before we do any of the kind of body work is we want to make, we're going to use some plasticine to put even more weight onto those feet. So we're doing quite well already, because it can stand up without any additional weight. But what we're going to do is we're going to take some of this plasticine, and we're going to kind of create these feet with it as well. Now, the thing about plasticine is, when you first get it, it's going to be quite hard if it's cold, and the best thing to do is to kind of manipulate it with the hands like so, and it will kind of soften up as it heats between your fingers, and it'll be easier to use. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do that for these, and I'm going to create these little feet for them. So here's one, okay, and then you'll put it on here, and you'll sort of bend it in to the foot like that, push it into the foot. All the detailing and stuff can come a bit later. These are just sort of the essential elements of our armature. Okay, and then I'll do the same for the other one. Okay, there we go. So we have even more weight at the bottom here now, so that our armature stands up really, really well. So the next part we're going to do is we're going to create a belly for our armature, and to do that, I'm going to take one of my styrofoam balls. I'm going to take a knife, and very carefully, guys, very, very carefully, I can't stress that enough, you're just going to cut a little bit off here so it's easier to attach to the armature. Okay, so there you go. I've cut it in half, as you can see here. And then what we're going to do, take some of our masking tape, and I've bought some actually unnecessarily large masking tape here. Yours doesn't have to be this thick, but I'm going to try and take some bits of this masking tape off, and I'm going to attach that belly to our bottom of our spine. Okay, so when you very loosely attached the belly to your spine, what I'm going to do is cut off some thinner strips of this masking tape, and I'm going to kind of go around the belly, in and around the base of the spine and the legs, and I'm going to start wrapping this masking tape all the way up to where I get a join on the legs, so that you know when you move it where your kind of knee starts, right? So we'll do that now. Okay, so there you go. We have our armature with our belly and these little feet here. So what the nice thing about putting the masking tape around the body is that you can start to fill out that body and make it kind of feel a little bit more human. Just remember that the more weight you put at the top of your armature, the more difficult it's going to be able to stand up, okay? Next we're going to do the fiddly bit, which is to do the hands and the fingers, and then we'll finish with the head, okay? Okay, so as you can see here, what I've done is I've cut off some additional bits of wire here. And this bit's quite fiddly, but at this stage you should have these hands and the head. Now, if you notice the hands and the head, they have this loop. Now we want to create some fingers, and we're going to go for 4 fingers today. So what you want to do, and as I said, this bit is a bit fiddly because it involves kind of bending these in through that and kind of adding some tape to kind of combine them, but I think we have what we need to do that. So I'm sort of putting that in here. You can kind of try and do this any way you like, really, but I'm going to try and fold these fingers up here like that, and then I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to cut like that so that we can start to see we get these fingers, and I'm going to try and bend them round a little bit. It doesn't really matter how the fingers look initially, because you can kind of, the wonderful thing about an armature is that you can move everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to splay my fingers out like that, you can kind of see it, and then with some tape I'm going to secure my hand, okay? Okay, so notice that once I've managed to secure these, I'm kind of using the tape and I'm going through all of the fingers, and I'm sort of creating this almost like a wrap around each finger, right? So that we create this palm or the hand with the fingers go. Okay, and then we're going to do the exact same thing once we've finished, like that. There we go, got some fingers. We're going to do the exact same thing to the other side. Okay, there we go. So we now have our arms, our hands, sorry, and our fingers for our armature. The wonderful thing, obviously, is because of the wire, we can actually move these around. So when you come to animate something, you could actually have the fingers moving as well. So for our final bit today, we're going to make the head. Now the head, and I have one here, is actually quite simple. So a nice thing to do is to make 2 indentations on either side for like the eye sockets, and I would do that first, so I have that kind of natural bottom there, and so I'm going to go above it and I'm going to make 1 indentation here and then another indentation here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some plasticine, and I'm going to get a very thin bit of plasticine, because remember, we don't want to make the head too heavy. Right? We want it to be bottom heavy, not top heavy. Okay, that's quite important. And what we're going to do with the thin layer of plasticine, we're going to cover the whole head. And then once we've done that, we'll attach it to the body. So here we go. You should, whoop, whoop. You should, try that again. You should be able, with some thin bit of plasticine, be able to start covering the whole of the head. And we'll do that now. Okay, so here we go. We've covered this head entirely in plasticine, and then the final step to creating our armature is actually quite simple. I'm going to take these wire clippers. I'm going to clip the top of this so that it comes out as like a fork. This might be a little bit too long, so I'm just going to trim it a little bit. You might not have to do that, but I'm going to do it. Like so. And just making sure that you've got your eye sockets. You're going to push this down into the ball, and as far as you possibly can into the neck. There we are. Ooh, that's popped out the other side. I'll fix that with a bit of plasticine. You really want to get that wire into the head so that you can move it around. So, just position that so it's a little bit scary. Here we have our armature, our fully realised armature that can stand, and as I can demonstrate now, it can stand, yeah, it can be moved. So when we're using stop motion studio and using our stop frame animation, we can move this armature around. Now, for your assignment, moving forward, this is just like a blank canvas really. Here we have a head, we have some feet, and we have some arms, right? And some hands. It's up to you, moving forward, to make this skeletal armature into something rather wonderful. So you could turn it into a kind of humanoid cat-like thing, or a dog. You could dress it up and move it around. But basically what I want you to do is I don't want you to go out and buy anything. I want you to look around what you have in your house. Maybe you've got some buttons for the eyes. Maybe you've got a bit of fabric that you could make and drape over the body. But I want you to be a bit experimental with it. I want you to have some fun with it. And then I want you to just make kind of a basic animation with it standing up. Maybe it's just waving its hand like that at the camera, and then it walks on, or something like that. So something really, really simple. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I can't wait to see what you guys have made. So feel free to email me the results, and all the best, and enjoy making your armature.